So one of the questions we're often asked is whether you have to play the murder mystery in your game. Well, the quick answer is no, but some people do decide to don the inspector's hat at their murder mystery party. So here is how you might want to do that and why. So if you have an odd number of guests at your party, then obviously with our game, the inspector comes as standard, absolutely free. Now, an odd number of players means you've got to get a game adjusted for an odd number of players, or you can play the inspector. So you can have your normal 6 people, you play the inspector, you've got an instant 7th character there. So it's a really handy backup. Also useful if somebody drops out at the last minute. If you're playing the inspector, you can just carry on using our video and go back to being a character that they were going to play before they bunged out being sick. So the other thing is if you're one of these hosts that multitasks, you've got lots of really complicated food in the kitchen and you want to keep an eye on the food in the kitchen and how the meal is coming together, and you're more focused on the food and making sure that's right than you are on the murder mystery. So you are the host with the most and you want to remain in that role all the way through the murder mystery. Then being the inspector means you literally only have to come back to the table to be the inspector. You can go away again, leave everybody chatting while you're titivating with all of the catering stuff. So that's a really good way you can be the inspector and be the host and be the host with the most. So if you've got nervous or young children there, you may want to have yourself play the inspector. This means that you can find something for the kids to do, still in character, and also it means you can just kind of push everybody through the murder mystery really easily as the character inspector without having to break character, go, actually, you should be reading this bit in the book now, or you need to ask this question, or does anybody have any idea what's going on? Those kind of things get avoided if you have yourself as inspector as well. And also don't forget, it really helps maintain the mood. If you've got a real live inspector there, then you're not looking at the TV or listening to a disembodied voice. You have a real person there, so it really sets the scene and keeps the mood lively. So the other reason to have yourself play the inspector may be because you have a very large group of people, and actually trying to get a very large group of people around television or listening to a disembodied voice is quite difficult, but having somebody there as a real inspector means you can shout really loudly to get them to shut up and get them to pay attention. So sometimes the larger group you have, the more useful it is having yourself play the inspector. So how do you be the host with the most, the inspector with, I can't think of a word beginning with I that would work, but how are you going to be an absolutely fantastic inspector? Well, the first thing is to make sure you have a lot of fun with it. You can get a hat, you can get dressed up, you can go wild with your accent if you want to. You are there to be the host with the most, to get everybody into character, get everything moving. So have fun with your role as inspector. You might want to prance around, you might want to hold a pipe, just be there, be the character, be loud, be expressive. You may want to just interject with people every now and again when they're answering questions. Oh yes, well that's interesting, isn't it? Just keep it all going. You might want to come up with some really good sort of cheesy one-liners. Your job is to encourage everybody to take part. So feel free to ad-lib off the script and go to town with your role as inspector and just make the most of it that you can. You also want to make sure you are organised. So make sure you understand how the flow of the game works. This is all provided in the instructions booklet, but our inspector booklets come with a full hosting guide in there with linking lines to make sure you can get from point A to point B and suggestions of when to break in there. So have a good read through the inspector booklet. If we're sending an actor out to run an event with somebody, it's that inspector booklet we send them. So you have exactly what you need as inspector, the same stuff that we give to our actors. Make sure you are prepared to be a little bit flexible. So see what's going on around the table, see who needs a little bit of extra help. If you've got youngsters there, you may want to break off some of the questions from the booklets that other people have. I know when I have youngsters with me when I'm hosting, I quite often say, oh, maybe you should ask this question, and I'll show them the question in the booklet and I just give the nod to the person who would have been asking the question that they don't need to ask it anymore, so that the kids are involved. So be flexible, be prepared to sort of shuffle things around a bit. If somebody has to disappear off to look after the kids, you may want to stand into their role temporarily or ask the questions that are in their book. And just make sure you're keeping the pace up, the energy up in the room, and guide as needed. Your job is basically, as the host, keeping everything going. So when do you need to decide that you are going to be the inspector and you're not going to use the video? Well, you could decide this literally at the very last minute or days in advance. There is no requirement to decide one way or the other. As long as you know who's coming in character, then being the inspector can be decided at the very last minute. If you're optional anyway, you haven't cast yourself in a role, we quite often suggest if you've got a big group and it's likely to flex, having yourself as a free-floating extra means that you can backfill a character role that's not there, or you can become the inspector if everybody turns up. But it does give you that flexibility. But there is no requirement to decide what you're going to be early. You can pick at the very last minute. Just make sure you've got enough time to prepare. If you're not sure what's going to work best for your party, then by all means, give us a call, get in contact via email or drop us a line on social media, and one of us will get back to you and explain what's going to work best for your party.